Sun Lin is pleased to reunite and greet you. Today we would like to present an omen about the Vatican as follows. Rome is about to sink into the sea. Shortly before Pope Benedict XVI's resignation in 2013, I dreamed of the following dream. I was standing on a large lawn in the evening. In the sky appeared a white dove. It looked like the picture of the Holy Spirit in the Catholic Church. The dove slowly flew straight in front of me, like an airplane landing in the airstrip. Suddenly, the dove turned into a banner. It has the word Rome very clearly. As the banner approached me, I saw not a banner, but a rock engraved with the word Rome. While I was frightened that the rock would fall on me, I saw a figure, dressed in a cloak like a priest, standing about 100 feet in front of me. The rock fell and hit the post. He fell to his knees. Then I woke up. Interpretation: this dream occurred while I was preparing to write an article titled, Rome is Sinking into the Sea. In my opinion, the Vatican or Rome is the Holy Land, the headquarters of the Catholics. Vatican is having many knotty problems that need to be modified, such as right, organization, dogma, stance with other religions and violence. The above dream has not been referring to the resignation of Pope Benedict. This means that there are still many knotty problems that have not been resolved, which will continue after the new Pope ascends the throne. Let us present few main points in the Rome is Sinking into the Sea, as follows, on stance and point of view. The Vatican knew that the communist regime advocated atheism, destroyed religion, but still was not determined to oppose brutalism with strong measures such as excommunicating the evil gods and strictly condemning them. Acts of persecuting monks, destroying religious establishments. But only interested in social problems, sometimes political tricks, rather than oppression and discrimination. In recent times, especially during the presidency of President Trump in the United States in 2020, Pope Francis often criticizes the Trump government according to media coverage on TV, rather than the exact reports of dioceses and dioceses. It is also the Vatican's misconception on many past issues, such as the Vietnam War. This led to the view of the Holy See, at times, not focusing on the brutal and cruel tactics of dictatorship, terrorism, and communism that were willing to destroy Catholicism. Since they believe that Catholicism, with the prestige of the Pope, is the main force blocking their progress, on the one hand they annihilated Catholicism around the world, but on the other hand show great respect for the Pope. Because the communist regime was considered a wall of steel, there was no freedom of the press. No one was allowed to take photos, videos, or record the regime's atrocities. Consequently, Vatican officials saw the world from a political perspective, rather than a religion. We have learned that in Muslim Middle Eastern countries, just a few years ago, terrorists kidnapped hundreds of girls at a Catholic school. They treated them as sex slaves and used them as bullet shields. They also raped many nuns and forced nude male nuns to parade the streets. After that, they tortured and killed them. These cases, did the Vatican know? We did not hear the Holy See speak with a stern condemnation. Why? About rituals and organization. We recall around 1970, a Catholic priest said the Christians often watch the ceremony, the Mass, not attended church ceremonies. But according to today's celebration of the ceremony, they see the priest as movements made on the altar, like watching a play, rather than attending the ceremony. Because the Christians are preoccupied with a lot of works and plans. They did not remember the prayers, also the songs. So they are completely indifferent to the ceremony. They looked at the courtyard, at the ceiling, waited for the ceremony to leave early, so as not to be accused by others of missing the ceremony. The celebrants, who make the ceremony, turn their backs on the sanctuary and sit with their backs to the Lord, looking at people sitting below. Holy See officials explain this sitting style as if the shepherd is watching over the sheep. In fact, this is not a gentle flock, a breed, but a bunch of ethnic people, old and young, with couples lovingly together, with teenagers sitting near their parents. They play games on cell phone. There are sexy ladies wearing open-breasted, open-thigh skirts. It's a bunch of wild animals with goats, tigers, monkeys, gibbons, and deers. They always find opportunities to jump up to eat the shepherd at any time. That leads to nefarious sexual relations. Some lady praises some handsome father for preaching well. We suggest to go back to the ceremonies before 1960. During celebration of Mass, the priests are always on the table facing the scriptures and God, even while they are sitting, so as they are not distracted by all kinds of people. Priests should also be mindful of elders, sick people, and those who have to go for work, even on Sunday, by arranging for an hour-long Mass. Old people don't sit for long. They are tired and need to go to the toilet, and many other problems. The Holy Father will celebrate Mass, make video, bless, and sell to parishioners, so that those who cannot afford to go to church watch the Mass via video, get the blessings, rather than just sitting and saying the prayers alone. About readings. We think there is one reading of God or disciples' words, and another reading about the history of the saints. These are good examples to the parishioners to know and adore their patron saints. For a long time, we have not heard anyone speak of the history of the saints. About allowing Christians to hold Holy Communion. For centuries, only priests have been allowed to hold Holy Communion. Today, due to the shortage of priests, so many assistants are allowed to deliver Holy Communion. Parishioners still believe that those who are allowed to hold and give Holy Communion must be as respectful as priests, not the hypocrites. At church, some wear suits and say prayers very loudly. At home, they are drunkards. They often scold their wives, hit their children, and treat unfairly to their tenants. We think only the nuns or teenagers under 13 years old should hold and give Holy Communion. Free for religious offenders, U.S. law finds a huge amount to compensate those who claim to be the victims of sexual harassment. Inadvertently, the law has helped beautiful women make money, from politicians, wealthy celebrities, to the priests. Because of the money they left their faith in dogmas, they left God too. Many dioceses filed for bankruptcy, and monasteries had to close because they had to pay compensation to many children, mostly boys, saying they were harassed when they were 12, 13 years old. Now they are old and weak, unemployed, and sick. U.S. law only punishes those who directly commit the crime. So the Church does not take responsibility for any individual, a priest, whether it is robbery or murder. Why did the diocese have to pay a ransom for offenders? Let the court takes their pocket money with about several $100 income a month. Ask if the motive of denouncing the priests still exists. Conclusion: for the guilty priests, let the court sentences them to prison and forces the priests to compensation according to their income. The diocese does not have the right of using the parishioners' donations, that is charity fund, to save people who break the law. About creed and dogma. For being rejected, opposed by materialist tendencies, atheists, for lack of a doctrinal basis, lack of Catholic truth advocates, or wanting to show harmony, not too extreme about religion that outsiders considered to be unique. So recently, along with the development of experimental science, many beliefs of Catholicism have been modified or not mentioned. About human ancestors. Catholicism only uses the Bible with the Garden of Eden, with Adam and Eve, as the basis for the theory that God created human being. But the Vatican did not take archaeological or anthropological evidence to prove that human, indeed, from the time of creation, had existed, not natural. It must have been created by God, according to the cycle of evolution, over billions of years. Since the earth was formed as a fireball, it cooled down, with earth, with water, surrounded by air, illumination, day by the sun, night by the moon. Then there were creatures, plants, and flowers developed, and finally man. Currently, archaeologists have found and confirmed that there are prehistoric human skeletons existing on this earth for millions of years. The Earth was created more than 13 billion years ago, when God was born, BC. Dinosaurs appeared from 125 to 65 million years BC. In 2007, British scientists found a fossil claw 2.5 meters long in a brick kiln in Germany. This is the leg of a sea scorpion that lived 390 million years ago. Scientists at Bristol University believe that prehistoric creatures such as spiders, crabs, birds and insects all had unimaginable large bodies. Ethiopia found a 5-million-year-old fossilized human skeleton of a young girl who was named Lucy. Possibly the fossil bone of Mr. Noah's wife as she turned back to see the burnt Sodoma in the Old Testament. She did not listen to the angel's words that no one should turn to look at Sodoma on the run. Mr. Noah was the one whom God said to build a ship to save some people before the great deluge that flooded the earth. The above evidence showed that humans were created by God and existed from the original on the earth, not as Charles Darwin said humans were from the modified apes. Let's assume that humans are from the ape variant. Where did apes come from? And after transforming into humans, how many apes became humans, and why apes are still apes? About the apocalypse. The end of the world is the day of the last judgment, the day mankind is wiped out of the earth. That day no one knows when it will come. But the author of this article still remembered, at that time I was about 10 years old, living in a rural area near the sea. We heard from a teacher before he became a priest. He said that the end of the world will come along a long time. God said an example would be a bird searching through a mountain for prey. Each time it goes to the mountain, it hits the mountain with its feet. Every day it swipes its feet twice when going and returning. Until the mountain is eroded into a normal, it is not yet the end of the apocalypse. Until then, we have not heard the priests speak, or any readings mention the above example. Perhaps the priests thought the event was due to human imagination. Seems ridiculous. But science proves that man has been on this earth for more than 5 million years, which is an unimaginable time. Whereas human life is more than 100 years long. Let's count from 100 years to 100,000 years, 1 million, then 1 billion. We also feel tired. We still know that, in our solar system, there are millions of stars. But certainly there is no star like the Earth, surrounded by oxygen. There are herbs, creatures, and especially humans. Scientists say they have found traces of water on Mercury, millions of kilometers away. That is just speculation by scientists. On our website Dreamreader 2007, before an American satellite landed on Mars, we have asserted that Mars is just a barren mass of rock. There will be no life, and scientists will never find a second inhabited planet. About the Virgin Mary. The Virgin Mary is the creed of Catholics. There is no doubt and debate. But later, due to the formation of a new religion, that people only recognized Jesus, and almost all denied that it was said that it did not belong to God, especially Mary. We do not discuss here the question of whether Mary was the mother of Jesus, and whether she was the Virgin Mary. It is important that believers of any religion also believe in their God as the supreme, powerful one, and their Lord is above all God. So is Catholicism. The existence of the apostles, along with their miracles and their accounts from the Old Testament to the New Testament, all prove that Jesus was indeed a mighty Lord. If anyone does not believe this, then either they are not Catholic believers or they do not recognize Jesus as their Lord. Jesus performed many miracles, from the fact that Moses had blocked the seawater into 2 walls for the Jews to walk through the dry seabed and then spread food every morning to feed the Jews on their way back to the promised land. God raised the dead and the water turned into fine wine. Then the story of the Virgin Mary is not something God cannot do. Christ incarnated and took human form in the womb of Mary, not in the usual human way. Christ wanted to show everyone that Christ is human, having parents, not spontaneously appearing as human. Moreover, Christ accepted Mary as mother to be the most powerful mediator, to fulfill his aspiration and to prevent Christ's wrath. Because Christ knew he's hot-tempered. When Christ punished, the punishment was extremely catastrophic, unable to be stopped. The mystery is the events from the birth of Christ to the day of his crucifixion, that Christ was about to come ahead like a play. The day of Christ's birth, which is the full period of 9 months and 10 days, God did not let Mary to stay in any worldly inn. Because there was no inn, the couple St. Joseph and Mary had to spend the night in a cave where cows kept. Maybe while Joseph was looking for firewood for heating Our Lady, Christ was born. That is, St. Joseph himself was not allowed to interfere in the Christ's departure from Mary's womb to become a baby. Above is just speculation of an ordinary person like Sun Lin. As for God, God was incarnated as a baby in the womb of Mary. Christ was born as a baby, totally known to Mary, not due to normal human reproductive tract. In conclusion, Our Lady is still a virgin. It was a miracle that Christ was born into a baby in her womb, and Christ was born as an infant, so it was a miracle that she was still a virgin. Not to mention, science also proved that a woman gave birth without tearing her hymen. Due to the lack of solid arguments, the lack of courage in defending the truth, disappointment in the face of rebellion, the Vatican and Catholic officials seem to downgrade the honor of the Blessed Virgin Mary. Many priests, while preaching at church or on TV, were still focused on singing and reading the Bible like Protestantism. They said little or nothing to Mary. That was a big mistake. They did not think that if they did not have parents, how can they have children? Entering a person's home, if anyone who only looks for a child but not greeting the child's parents, is disrespectful to the owner. The owner will not happily accept that kind of guest. Talking about read the Bible. Christ said Christ's word like seeds that a farmer scattered out in the garden, some that fell on good soil, some that fell on a thorn, some were eaten by the worms and the birds. So not just singing, reading the Bible, people believe in God, keep good faith. It is important that priests interpret the Word of God and tell the believer how to apply it to everyone's life. Concerning the family of Christ including Saint Joseph, Virgin Mary and Jesus. Since the 50s, the painting of Saint Joseph and the statue of Saint Joseph both carried lily branch. The teachers and priests of that time both explained that the lily was a symbol of the non-marital union between Saint Joseph and Mary. Back then, Mary was determined to be single, almost monastic, and she would not marry. During this time, Joseph had the same will as Mary not to marry. But because of the law of the time, it was imperative that all adults must get married by putting a dry wrench into a water bottle placed on the altar and prayed. God will work miracles. Through one night, the branches of a couple with the same flower bloom, the two must marry. As a result, the dry branches of Mary and Saint Joseph bloomed white lilies, although the couple must obey their family and the God to unite as husband and wife. They were husband and wife from the outside. But in fact, both were still single, not husband and wife. To the people of the time before the birth of God, God performed many miracles to teach mankind. Because at that time, they had no leader and could not take care of their own life, so the image of Saint Joseph holding a lily was a plausible reason to defense of the image of Saint Joseph carrying the lily. The statue of Saint holding a saw is not a good symbol. The lily was the symbol of the union of the family of Jesus, the Holy Family. Is anyone opposed? About the ritual, as we have stated above, when Christ entered the body of Mary to be a son, then according to the mankind's law, from the moment of birth Christ was the son of Mary. Christ must respect and obey Joseph and Mary as Christ's parents. Also according to mankind's custom, the visitor or anyone entering someone else's home must come to greet the homeowner before meeting the family's relatives. Regarding the celebration of Mass, when entering a church, as well as entering the house of the Lord's parents, priests must come to the altar of Saint Joseph and Our Lady before celebrating Mass. In heaven, God is the sovereign. But by human morality, God is still the son of Saint Joseph and Mary. The house of God, which is the house of Saint Joseph and the house of Mary. God did not have a house of his own. In later times, dioceses and priests often set their own rules, rites, and doctrines. It seems that the prestige and authority of the Holy See are no longer submissive. Before coming to receive the Eucharist, there are churches forcing parishioners to stand. Other churches still let people to sit. There is a church where parishioners from the last row to come to receive communion first. And handicapped people at first row must wait until the last time. Some churches still ring the bells when they celebrate the ceremony, others don't. Organization and development. The Holy See is very focused on the selection of priests and missionaries. This plan needs development along with a mission. The Holy See should also strengthen the faith and develop Catholicism in the modern world. People in these countries are hardly religious anymore. It is said that in France, people today only go to church 3 times in their life, when they are baptized, at the wedding ceremony, and when they die. The Holy See should set up a television station to distribute Catholic news and films. Live broadcast of masses, presided over by the Pope, make videos about the history of the martyrs. The Holy See disseminates picture books about the New Testament and Old Testament to help people easily remember God's words and Bible events. Especially for heathens and children. Buying and disseminating films with good content like Ben-Hur films. Being a publisher, buying copyright and printing works denouncing the crimes of the communists, of witnesses who are victims of oppression and terrorism. restoring and reprinting pictures of the Lord, Holy Family, and saints, painted by famous painters, beautiful and vivid, from centuries ago. Especially the photo of the 14th Street of the Cross. These art images help people focus on praying and meditating, especially the heathens and children. Since then, it strengthens trust rather than just preaching, without the image helping people understand what heaven, hell, God, the saints of angels and Satan are. The famous paintings should be hung in the church on the wall near the sanctuary depending on the holiday. So that some parishioner, instead of looking at the ceiling, it is good to look at the pictures of God, of the saints. The hymn must be chosen, confirmed by the Holy See or professors of music. Today, there are many hymns, composed by the priests or by the parishioners. The melody does not match the type of praying, inaccurate lyrics does not help people hear like prayers. As a rule, to compose music, the lyrics must be in accordance with the musical notes. The Holy See sponsors or undertakes establishments to make statues and paintings that comply with aesthetic and artistic standards, which are durable to last. The making of statues, rosaries like toys, are not accepted. The statues and paintings must be manufactured by Catholic institutions to be recognized by the Holy See. Especially different from rosaries made of silver or non-rust metal chains like before. Today, the rosaries are made of thread or nylon, which are less aesthetic, not durable, easy to shrink, curl, twisted, and poor hygiene. The fabric can absorb sweat, water, and infection. Furthermore, for Catholics, when the rosary is blessed by his Father, the prayers are recited daily, respectfully observed, and refusing to give up. Because it is a holy object. There are many people who keep the rosary all their life. When they die, their relatives put the rosary on their heads, the Notre Dame on the neck, as a testament to God when going to heaven. Returning to the topic, Rome is about to sink into the sea. We see many mistakes that the Vatican needs to correct. If not quickly corrected, Rome will be drowned in blood of violence. When Rome sinks into the sea, the whole of Italy, protected by God, that has existed for centuries, is an island floating under the sea, will also face many disasters, and will also sink into the sea. This video was released in late August 2020. Thank you for listening. Hello,